you don't just changing a habit of people at work. You're making a big changes for their life, because then they become someone, the friendly guy for the neighbors, the most reliable guy in the family. You know what I mean? They are changing attitude. For them, they don't see problems anymore.
Aujourd'hui, à Éclair de Génie, nous poursuivons avec l'entrevue en anglais de M. Kazemi, président propriétaire de l'entreprise Structure Breton. Ici Restez, experte en recrutement d'ingénieurs et de management en manufacturier et des technologies chez Toven International. I mean, when it comes to the new generation with all the technology, because they're really into it, how did you find a way to adapt it to your, style of work, style of life? How did you perceive that they can integrate it to your company?
Well, there is a part that we were part of it, so it was not really unknown to us. And there's a part that it's much more unknown to me, to my generation. Mm-hmm. So when I tell you, when we were doing things, we were using fax machine, for example.
Yeah.
I had to run upstairs. We had the fax machine over here and then, send something by fax. It wouldn't go through. Then we have to refax it again. So it was very inefficient way of doing work, because we were typing letters, Word, and then printing and then faxing and then getting the fax record that it was faxed, and then call next day. Okay, what happened to my fax? Because it could be end up in the junk on the other side. So that part changed to emails and, attachment. Less paper. It's very efficient what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So it is a big step that we did, and we are part of a step. What I don't like in this, and it might be just my personal opinion, is that losing the content.
Yeah.
Because we used to say hello. We used to say hi. We used to write letters. And letters was very formal, very well respected, and, very well written. Sure. And we would have think about what we want to write, because in the time that you're writing a letter, you're putting your thoughts into it.
Yes.
Then it became email, and email becomes a little bit more casual, which is fine to me. Email, it can be I always start my email with a good day and then say definitely thank you. Not the thank you is already written. Thank you that I'm going to write. Yeah, exactly. And then it changed to text. And text is a little bit something that I don't like. Where is my payment?
Yeah.
No. And this is what we're saying.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't even understand what does that mean. Am I getting paid? Yes. Yes means what? Today, tomorrow, next day, next week. So that's a part that has to be
control in a way.
Control has to change, because construction industry, you need to have certain documents.
Yeah, exactly. And mostly communication. Communication can be a trap by experience. If you don't have a right communication and you don't establish something clear, it can backfire on you, on your construction, on your project, and anything you do.
So how we did it, we kind of divide things and say, okay, you know what? Casual conversation, communication, phone calls. I still promote phone calls once in a while. I ask people about how they're doing and establish personal relationship.
That's why I like phone calls.
I like that. It's more like friendship. So this is a relationship, and that did not establish based on our business relationship.
No, it's personal.
It becomes personal because we respect, we have really...
You know each other. No, it's friendship. It's more established. Yes.
And he knows there is always someone that he can pick up the phone and ask, and that person going to do whatever it takes or his best to help him, to support him. This is important. This is a part that, sometimes is missing in the business relationship, because we become very attached when we get support in the tough time.
Yes.
We get very detached when we don't feel that support.
Yes.
When the time needed. So these are the fine and basic human relationship.
It is.
Is forgotten, and people are not really paying attention because they are focused, and goes back to what I said, service and money. Service, it helps you to open up new doors. Again, people, they feel like, we're not in charity business. It's not like, charity that we're there. No, actually, this is our vision to become successful, because we know this is the only way. Because the moment you're focusing on your profit margin, you become, or you start doing things different, because you don't want that to be touched.
Exactly.
Because for you, this becomes the point of the success.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that if you imagining, or if you're projecting to make so much and you make less, then you say, this year was not a really good year.
Yeah.
And if you make more, you say, well, that's a good year. Because your reference line,
It's always the money, yeah.
Your projection is based on that. Whereas if you start putting yourself in a service mode, that becomes a range, not a number. So profit is a range. So you have to stay in the range because you have to stay in the business. You have to become, this is part of it. This is the blood. But then you put yourself and you imagine, or you really looking at what you have done, what you have established, what are the relationship, new relationship, how is your old relationship working, how much of the project that your client that he has this year came to you and how much you start giving to someone else. So you're putting yourself in a service now. You're saying, okay, how's my relationship? How am I supporting my client? How well I'm established there? So this is becoming, you don't look at the number as a success or fail. You look at this as a success or fail. And in the long term, this pays off. You know why? Because you're not sacrificing the support and the relationship for a number.
Exactly.
And that becomes, and again, it's not a formula that you can sit down and say, okay, I give, too much support. I have to get this much money.
No.
You have to look at your business. And business, people, they have to understand, is not a race. It's a race, but it's not like a fast run.
No.
It's a marathon.
It's a long run.
Long way to go. And you have to keep the energy. You have to have certain kilometers per day or something that you reach. And then next day you can add maybe another kilometer. These are the factors that it's important to keep in mind. That's what we did. I'm not sure that this is only, or there's other ones.
But I think it's a good process.
And it became something that we felt at first we were thinking, okay, how we can do it. Now we don't have to think. We know what to do. It just become part of it.
It's natural.
Yeah. I give you one example. There is a part of the job that we do, and, we provide the anchor bolts. Anchor bolts is the bolt is like a rod, and it goes in the concrete in the foundation. And then when we come, we put our columns on the anchor bolts. So it's going to secure the location of the anchor bolt. The part that we do, we supply that, and somebody else has to install it. And every job, there was a problem because they couldn't install in the right location. And the day we show up, that was wrong. The owner knew that this is wrong. The fight started like at the first day. Everybody's excited to see a steel and it's coming, whatever, nothing fits. The crane is there. Nothing works. Of course, it's not our fault.
But it's still expensive.
And they have to pay for all this.
Yeah.
Just a small example about the service. What we did, we said, okay, Mr. Owner, give us the survey of these anchor bolts, and then we're going to adjust it in the base plate. So when we show up, things going to work.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Very simple.
But it's not easy because we have to go through that process. We have to get the information. So again, I explained to the guys because they were very frustrated of doing this adjustment because it's easy. You look at, okay, 8 inches by 7 inches, I do it. Now you have to go 7 inches and a quarter. You got to go north. You got to go south. So what you're doing, you're taking the pattern that's already existing and you're just projecting that to your base plate. It's a very simple stuff to do, but you have to go through a process. It's not easy. But the client became very happy about that because the first day you show up, everything works. Nobody really get hurt. They pay for this process, like they pay for the time that we do the drafting and all that stuff. But, they kind of said, oh, okay,
They found a solution. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was easy. Again, we're not the most genius guy to come up with this because it's a very simple thing.
But that's the thing, because usually when there's a problem, people always complicate themselves and saying, well, why you don't just do this? And I think that's human nature in a way, to start to be complicated instead of find a simple way to do it. Or they're just not going to do it and they're just going to leave it this way.
Well, I think now more and more I see that people that they want to be in a good business setup, that's what they have in mind. That's what they do.
The one who are doing the business setup, but the one who works for them, it's different. You're the mind who has the way to make it easier. But at the same time, you have to bring your people to think this way.
That goes back to the management.
Yes.
Management, they have a responsibility to train, to educate. Because one thing that also it just brings on the table, what you do, you don't just changing a habit of people at work. You're making a big changes for their life because then they become someone, the friendly guy for the neighbors, the most reliable guy in the family. You know what I mean? They are changing attitudes. For them, they don't see problems anymore. So if you go and your neighbor has an issue with, you're the one who comes with the solution because your brain is working like that. Your brain starts thinking differently. And that's what we want to experience because that's really like, this is the ultimate of professional life, that you just want to become someone that the moment something comes to you, for example, the COVID-19 happens and then we had the productions, we had these loads that are adding up and the border was closed, nothing was going. All that is problem.
So how did you bring the solution to this?
Well,
I mean, for the COVID-19, it is
it was a very tough time. My whole professional life for me and everybody in the team that we have to do because everything that was changing so fast that we had to make decisions every day. And decision was just good for another 24 hours. And then we had to come up with another one. The way we did it, we handled it, I think was the best way for us. We came with a plan that, okay, now we need to look at the jobs that they're going to be going on because US, they didn't really shut down like Canada. They were jobs that they were still operating and there were jobs that they were not operating. Then we had people that were working in the shop. There were people working in the office. People in the shop, they have to work. I mean, you can't tell them go work from home. You have to be here. There's a crane, there's welding machines and all that stuff.
But they have masks, they have equipment.
Exactly. So what we did is we break the team in two. We said, okay, guys in the office, because we have to reduce the exposure. So everybody from the office, we set them up at home. The full staff. Computer, like we end up the controller, like 4 guys in this entire building.
Wow.
And everybody was working from home. And we did that in less than a week. Got extra monitors, extra computers. Everybody was connecting back and forth because we have a server in the company.
Wow.
And they have to communicate with the server every day.
Yes, of course.
So we set them up at home. So we knew now we have secure individuals that they are at home and they're supposed to stay home, not going outside. So they're going to be secure. Or if there is one guy breach this safety security requirement, then it's not going to spread to others. So everybody is different. And in our shop, we spoke to them and there were 4 or 5 individuals that we got a permission from the government to work with us. So we had the minimum.
So you had to ask the government if they can still work with you.
That's right. They permit certain operations to work certain number of people. So we got the permission that only 5 people that they can work in the shop. We spread them up in the shop and they were not in contact. And they were wearing masks, sanitizers, and all that. The other thing that helps us, because for the month, we were actually not producing. Like we were closed in our shop. 5 people that were just doing maintenance, little stuff like a store loading and offloading. At the same time, another thing that we did in the past is a network that we created with a partnership with the people that we have. And, some of our partners that they are in other provinces and they were not closed. So they were helping us in that period of the time. So that part of production was done.
That's where the loop.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you could.
So investment of, years before, it just pays because now
everybody's connected, everybody's in the loop, and everybody's working together to make it work.
And the whole thing came because we said, you know what? There's no competition. Really, if you think about it, there is enough work for everyone and there is enough opportunity to explore your future. But if you are narrow-minded and you see just a little distance, then you want to compete with this guy, you want to go lower than the other one, you want to squeeze the other guy, then you end up to be alone.
Exactly.
We became very powerful in what we do because we had a great support. We still have a great support. We still have people that they really love to work with us. We love to work with them. And there's a very strong relationship. Why? Because fairness. It's very simple. If you're fair in your life, you don't really need to do much. There's nothing complicated about that. If I'm fair, you're fair, he's fair. Everybody is benefiting. Everybody, loves it. And again, it might be so difficult for someone because, somebody may hear that and says, yeah, but I go bid this job and then, I get these challenges. I can't say this is going to work everywhere. But as I said, you have to find the place that what you're looking for or what you're producing is offered. It's there. You're not going to be able to sell some umbrella to a country that there's no rain. You have to find like a Vancouver, British Columbia and go there and produce, because then if you're producing, then produce the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't produce like a $5 one that it breaks every 5 days. You know what I mean? So this is what you got to do. That's what we did. We started bringing people, and then people were coming in as assistant project management, and they were, fresh from school. So they learned project management. The way that we treat our customers, they were learning that too, with their own style. We never imposed to do the things similar to what we do.
Where the COVID-19, everybody, like the partnership worked, and the loop started to work itself. So you found a way to solve the problem with these states? I mean, it's still closed?
Okay. Well, no. What happened was we spoke to our people, the guys in the shop, that they wanted to come back. So what we did is we put procedures in place.
Okay.
And the procedure place we put in, we created different time for them to go to cafeteria. When they come in, they want to punch their cards. They have to keep the distance. There's a sanitizers, there's a mask, there's gloves for them to use. There's no close contact anymore. Encourage them, and they are really working side by side by us. And I was very amazed by that they are taking this extra cautious doing this. Of course, we are exposed, all of us.
Yes,
but we are minimizing the exposure because we go home, we go see our kids. Everybody has a different life out there.
The risk are here.
That's right. So what we're doing is we're not panicking. I think COVID-19, there's like 2 ways of react, 3 ways actually. Some people, they don't care about it. Second thing is panicking.
Yes.
That to me is as harmful as the first one. And the second thing was awareness, meaning that you are aware of the situation. You accept the fact that the risk that you might get it, but you have a responsibility not to give it to someone else.
Exactly.
Because we all have to work together to make sure our system, our society doesn't fail. We can't focus on how many people died today, tomorrow, because that's a part of life. That's something that it's happening.
With the pandemic, it's worse because it's every day something's happening. It's not like the flu. It's a non-stop sickness that will keep going on. That's the main problem, because we have to change our way to live, our way to think, and knowing that if you had a COVID-19 coming in this business, you have to close down to test everybody, and then you have to make sure that the one who were driving in the States, big problem afterward. So people have to work together to make sure that it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, we have responsibility, as I said, to be aware and to work together, not to spread. But what I'm saying is that panicking comes to the picture that we're focusing on a number of the, people that they were affected, the number of people died, which is very important. But at the same time, it's like the process of anything we do. I serve in military, and then part of the things that they tell you, if you end up in the war zone or in war, you do certain things, you protect yourself of getting hurt. If you do certain things, you're exposing yourself to get hurt. You cannot stop what's coming. The bullet is coming, the bomb is coming, so that's coming. But what you can do is you can make sure that you do stuff that you don't get hurt, or you're safe, or your colleague or your people around you that are safe. This is what you can do. So that's a part you have to focus more. That's a part you have to think about it more. You have to take extra measures if you have to in order to make sure that happens. COVID to me is another disaster that happens. Unfortunately, it happens everywhere because usually we have only localized some places. But never forget, when things happen, like we have a flood somewhere, or we have hurricanes, people that are suffering, of losing power for 2 years, 3 years, we don't see it, but they are suffering. There are things happening around the world that we cannot stop. It's happening. This is one that is happening everywhere. Now we are exposed to it, and we just have to be extra cautious of what we do in our personal life, not to affect the others. And you can see the result. There was a time that beginning of end of May, beginning of June, we had the high rate, and now it's down to 60 people or 70 people per day, which is we got the curve down. But the most important is going forward, we don't have to lose that awareness of we're still there. It's not gone. I mean, we just control it. We just
No, it's not gone. It's among us. No, like as long as we don't have the vaccine, we won't go anywhere. No, it's just, we have to find a way to be. I remember my son's. We push him to say he was in karate, and we push him to do like some comeback, to practice his comeback. Because it's mostly kata they was doing, but he didn't want to have the comeback. I said, well, it's good to see if your skills, where you're heading. And he was really disappointed, but he did really well actually. And that his teacher, his sensei said, find a way to be happy in this obligation that your parents push on you, you know. Find a way to be happy in this atmosphere, in this environment. Your happiness in there. So that's what we have to do. Now with the COVID-19, we have to accept it, to be aware, but find another way to be happy. Because, I mean, in a way, it won't go, like you said, it won't go anywhere. You know, it will stay here as long as we don't find any vaccines.
And again, find way of happiness for yourself and people around you too. Our life has been affected by this. You know, we're not living the same life that we had 4 or 5 months ago, all of us. And that has been a major impact on people's behavior.
La suite de l'entrevue s'est déroulée sur une note plus personnelle face au COVID-19. J'ai vraiment apprécié le temps passé dans les bureaux de Structure Breton et découvrir un président passionné de son entreprise. Si vous désirez la transcription en français de l'entrevue avec M. Kazemi, je vous invite à nous communiquer par courriel à info@éclairdegenie.ca ou visiter notre site web à www.éclairdegenie.ca et vous pouvez vous abonner afin de recevoir tous nos podcasts. Toven International est une firme de recrutement d'ingénieurs manufacturiers et des technologies. N'hésitez pas à nous communiquer pour plus d'informations par notre site internet www.toveninternational.com. Nous sommes là pour vous soutenir.